and welcome back to round 6 of the GT Cup Championship 2021, our second race of Super Saturday here at Brands Hatch. It's going to be another pit stop race. Now, before we dive into that, just in case you need a little refresher or you missed our first race, here's what happened.
And the lights go out and away we go racing up towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. Richard Neary with his nose out front, I'm sure. There is a spin for Alan Purbrick, I'm afraid, and that is the Alp Racing Saker that has had a rotation. That's on the exit of Hawthorne. We get things back underway with just under 40 minutes to go. Richard Neary gets his foot down, but Leo Machitsky is trying to go with him at the wheel of the first of the two Barwell Motorsport Lamborghini Hurricanes. It's as though Seamus Jennings is also now trying to pull a move on Matt Manderson, and that's all the way around the outside at Hawthorne to take the place away. Fantastic stuff from Seamus Jennings. Michael Igo, I'm afraid to say, though, into the pit lane, rather started from the pit lane, is back in the pit lane once more with issues with the front left corner of the car by the look of things. The two Lamborghinis, John Dillon just ahead. Lucky Kira with his lights ablaze, giving John Dillon a thing or two to think about. Into the pit lane comes Richard Neary, not for the first time of course. There was that unscheduled pit stop whilst he was leading, which dropped him off the lead. So here we go, Phil Quaife attacking Adam Ballon for second place. The car goes up the inside and Lewis Proctor follows through. So Adam Ballon drops from second to fourth on the restart. Took 3 for the lead and Adam Ballon just a little bit further back. Leo Machitsky didn't quite grab the apex there, turning his way through Graham Hill Bend. So Phil Quaife sees an opportunity but then needs to fend off the attack that comes from behind of Lewis Proctor. Almost a little bit of contact between the pair of them. Leo Machitsky gets sort of bumped out the way slightly. Now was that going into yellow flag zone there? So for our race leaders, it's going to be the number 36, Stewart and Lewis Proctor driven McLaren that is going to take up the checkered flag and claim the win in round 5 of the 2021 GT Cup Championship. John Dillon and Phil Quaife come through in second place. Leo Machitsky, oh crumbs, that was close on the run to the line. Leo Machitsky was under pressure from Senan Fielding, and Senan Fielding almost had 2 wheels on the grass heading towards the checkered flag. The wing mirrors were almost scraping the pit wall as they came towards the checkered flag. And did he make it? No, according to the timing screens, by 17 one-thousandths of a second, he did not make it. And I think conversations might be going on there.
Well, race number 1 was certainly not without incident, but that's what's going to happen when you've got so many cars, 46 of them on a grid. The other thing with so many cars racing is that some tend to get forgotten, particularly the ones at the back of the grid. Well, one that we did actually mention earlier involves a pro driver, Adam Carroll, and in fact I caught up with the team because they've got a really interesting story. Greystone GT, here's what they had to say. Well, I'm here in Garage 1 with Mark McLaughlin, who is team principal, would that be right, for Greystone?
Yes, that's correct, yes.
Yeah, so Mark, give us a little bit of the background then of Greystone and what you're doing here.
So Greystone GT was founded in 2017. Initially we started as a supercar track day company. What we were trying to do was to offer a really top level supercar experience that just wasn't available in the UK at the time. And then it was really popular, it was very well received. We started doing more events. In 2019 we started doing high performance test days, offering a similar level of service to professional race teams. And then in October last year we moved into our new facility at Silverstone, which allowed us to take the next step, which was to start our own race team, which obviously is now competing in the 2021 GT Cup Championship.
Yeah, so it's fantastic because again it's an opportunity for amateur drivers to pair up with really pro drivers, and you've got some great people.
Absolutely. One of the things that we're really passionate about at Greystone GT is offering a complete motorsport experience to our clients, most of whom have come to us through the Supercar Track Day program. And you know, to us that's not just about driving on track, it's experiencing what it's like to work with industry professionals in motorsport. Fortunately, because of the background of the management individuals in the team, we've been able to use our contacts to bring people into the team who've operated at really high levels, you know, everything from the top levels of GT motorsport and bring them into the team and use that as a way of giving more support and guidance to the customers and drivers as they come through. So we've got engineers, technicians, even our logistics people and customer support staff have all come from really, really high levels. But of course, probably most importantly, the driver coaches and the pro drivers that are guiding the drivers through that journey of learning how to become a race driver are absolutely first class. So the guys we've got racing today have been a real support to the AM drivers who are coming through.
I'm joined now by Mark Hopton and Adam Carroll, car number 77. Guys, first of all, Adam, you're the pro driver here and you're no stranger to GT driving, of course.
Absolutely, I've raced just about everything now, so we're here this year in GT Cup, and I'm joined with Mark. I'm Mark's pro driver for the season. So yeah, I have raced, like I said, so much experience and everything, and this is Mark's actual first year racing. Yeah. So it's quite amazing, really, to forget. It's easy to forget that this is Mark's second race, and he's doing an amazing job. So we have a really good team, very experienced people in the team. So it's good to be able to help Mark as much as possible and share our experience and get him up to speed as quickly as we can. And I think it's paying off, and he's doing a really good job.
Well, let's chat to you, Mark. That's a glowing report there from Adam.
That's not what he said in the lorry.
So how is it then? Because I understand you didn't really get much of a chance to have a go because you were testing on the Indy track, weren't you?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, first time we've driven this in my race car. I'm new to all of this. Yeah, I totally accept that. It's a massive learning curve for me. I've been doing track days for maybe a year before I got into this. Decided I wanted to go racing, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it, but I've got so much to learn, and I know this season that's all I want to do. It's a steep learning curve for me. Every race that I finish is a success in my book, and hopefully over the next few years I'll work my way up.
Yeah, and how have you found so far the first race today that we saw earlier?
Absolutely brilliant. I mean, I had a bit of a baptism of fire at Donington. I didn't know what was going on really, but today much more relaxed, really enjoyed it. Starting to kind of get to know some of the faces around the paddock as well, so that's really nice, and everyone's super encouraging, so yeah, great.
Well listen, have a great second race.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Well, you join us at a pretty busy time because the cars are literally just all leaving the garages now, heading out into the pit lane. The noise is incredible with so many cars. We've got 45 of them going out into race number 2, heading round, and then they will do their formation into the grid. And in fact, we'll jump over there in a second and see if we can get onto the grid and show you a little bit more what it looks like. And keep a lookout, of course, of our friends that we just spoke to at Greystone GT, because they are in the garages next to us, but they've just gone out and they'll be at the back of the grid. But do keep an eye out for the number 77. Now, Mark, I don't know if you've got anything to pick up on at the moment with regards to what happened in the previous race and the grid coming up.
Yeah, I mean, there were a few cars that did have problems in that earlier race, Michelle. We saw retirement for the Seika with its rotation, bringing about the safety car, and also problems early on, weren't there, for Richard Chamberlain in the pit lane, and Henry Draws, who went off whilst leading Group GTA. Hopefully, all of those are back in there. I do have another little snippet of information for you, Michelle, as well. You were chatting, of course, to Mark McLaughlin and Adam Carroll. Absolutely. And we were alluding to Adam Carroll winning the A1GP Championship. Well, Adam actually holds the outright lap record on the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. He achieved that in A1GP. Ollie Webb, who is the pro in the other Greystone car, actually holds the Formula 3 lap record here. And you were talking to Mark McLaughlin. Mark McLaughlin, back from his racing days, is the lap record holder of the Formula Renault lap record here at Brands Hatch. How's that?
They kept all that very, very quiet, didn't they? How very modest of them.
Enormously modest, yes.
I'll tell you what, the pit lane and the garages have now cleared, so I don't know if should we head out onto the grid? I think we will. Do you wanna, there we go.
So whilst Michelle heads out onto the grid then, I'll just guide you through the way that they're going to line up there onto the grid. So on pole position it will be Adam Ballon for Barwell Motorsport. Alongside is the ABBA Racing Mercedes that will be started by Richard Neary. Row 2 of the grid, Steve Burgess with the Raw Motorsports Radical. That had diff problems in race number 1. They've been up against it to fix it, but they are out there. And alongside will be Seamus Jennings will start the GCAT Racing Porsche. Row 3 of the grid, Lucky Kira and John Dillon with Graham Tilley and Stuart Proctor on row number 4. Row 5 will see the number 60 Team Parker Racing car of Nick Jones line up alongside Matt Manderson, who I think is starting for number 47 this time through. And on to the next row of the grid, that's where we see the number 55 Lamborghini of John Seal alongside 9. It'll be started by Warren Gilbert. The 7th row of the grid is Sam Allpass and Henry Dawes. Row 8 of the grid, the number 67 car for this race will be Simon Orange, and alongside will be Richard Marsh. The 9th row of the grid sees Craig Wilkins line up alongside car number 212, which will be started by Stephen Walton. And row 10 of the grid is number 3 Charlotte Gilbert and 35 Nick Phelps. On to row number 11, that's where we see Chris Kemp, who starts at the wheel of the number 96 car, and for company alongside will be Josh Jackson. Row 12 of the grid will be Paul Bailey, and car number 118 will be James Townsend for this first part of the race. The next row of the grid is 41 Fraser Smart and 29 Andy Roby, with row 14 being number 17. That's scheduled to be started by Russ Lindsay alongside number 16, which will be started by Justin Armstrong. The 15th row of the grid, Carl Cavers lines up alongside the 44 car, which is going to be Steve Ruston for part 1 of the race. And the final few rows of the grid, going to see Morgan Tilbrook and Mo Ritson on row number 16. Ian Humphreys will be joined by James Guess on row number 17. Alex Stevenson and Mike Price on the next row of the grid. And the final 2 rows of the grid will be David Holloway, Chris Murphy, Mark Hopton and Ian Campbell. And that gives you a great grid, one to look forward to. And we're going to go down onto the grid now. Michelle has found somebody to chat to.
Yeah, actually, I haven't found anyone to talk to just yet, but we're waiting for our pole position car to turn up. Still hasn't turned up, but you can see that the Nearys are over there. They've switched sides to position number 2. The car you're looking at there, 247 Lucky Kira. I was going to see if I could nip in and have a chat with him, but I don't know if that's a possibility. Should we have a go? Should we see while we're waiting? Let's have a little look. Lucky, just wanted to say a quick hello before you start racing. Can you tell us a bit about what happened in the last race?
Yeah, I ran out of talent.
Ooh, did you get that?
I ran out of talent.
Oh. And how are things looking, do you think, for this time round, this race?
I'm getting more and more comfortable in the car. Just trying to push and see where the limits are, and just progress.
Well, listen, you've got yourself a good position for this start, so good luck. Brilliant. There you go. There's Lucky Kira there. How are we doing? Oh, we've got our pole position car. I think we might have a gap in row 2 here, because that was meant to be the number 7, the Radical, which I think might be starting a little bit later on, but certainly not here from the grid. And here's our pole position car, Adam Ballon, who of course did really well in race 1. Race 2 is all about fastest laps. Let's see if we can sneak in with Adam here. Adam Ballon, you are live. How are you feeling about this race?
Yeah, excited. Nice to be starting at the front.
And you did pretty well, didn't you, in the other race? So that must make you feel sort of pretty stoked and pumped up for this one.
Yeah, totally. It was a really exciting race, actually, the last one. Lots going on, much more going on than I thought there would be. So it was, hopefully I could just drive away on this one. That would be nice.
Well, listen, best of luck. You're in pole position, so it's looking good. There you go, Adam Ballon there. Right, well, I just heard another siren go, so I think that is my cue to leave the grid and let race number 2 get underway. Mark, I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks a lot, Michelle. Yeah, so the final few moments on the build-up to round 6 of the 2021 GT Cup Championship. We've given you the grid already. I'm conscious what I have not done, though, is give you the success seconds that the cars will have to spend in the pit lane. Because remember, this is Super Saturday. We've got 2 pit stop races, so a little bit different to the usual format for GT Cup. And the pit window for these, there was an amended bulletin issued. A little bit of smoke coming out of the Nissan. Not sure that's cause for concern. There was an amended bulletin issued which affected the pit windows, which confused some people, some of the competitors, and hands up, including myself. The pit window for this one will see one group stop between the 24th and the 29th minutes of the race, and the second group will stop between the 29th and the 35th minute of the race. So they're split into two groups. Group 1 is for the GTO cars, the GT3 cars and the GTC cars. Group 2 is for the GTBs, the GTHs and the GTAs, and they all have to remain stationary for 60 seconds plus any success seconds. Now on the front few rows of the grid we don't have any success seconds to worry about, so Adam Ballon, Richard Neary, the Raw Motorsports Radical, if it makes it out there, and the GCAT Racing Porsche all off scratch for this one. The first car on the grid that's got success seconds is number 61, which is John Dillon. When he hands over to Phil Quaife, they'll remain stationary, not for 60 seconds, but for 75. Then also the Stuart Proctor McLaren, which was the victor in the first race when the results were issued a little bit later on because of a few problems post-race. They've got an extra 20 seconds to spend in the pit lane. John Seal, when he hands over to Abby Eaton at the wheel of their Lamborghini, an extra 20 seconds. It's the same for the Top Cats Racing Marcos Mantis, which secured top honours in Group GTC earlier. An extra 20 seconds, therefore, comes their way. And it's the same also for the Group GTB winner. There is the Radical starting from the pit lane following its diff problems. Pleased to see Steve Burgess and the team from Raw Motorsport, Rob Weldon's team, have made it out. The winner of Group GTB, Sam Olpass, an extra 20 seconds. Other cars with extra time penalties to worry about: the number 67 Ginetta, Simon Orange, 15 seconds. The number 80 Scott Sport Ginetta of Craig Wilkins, an extra 20 seconds. Richard Marsh at the wheel of the Team Hard Porsche, number 34, an extra 15 seconds. Nick Phelps with the Veluga Motorsport Porsche, 10 seconds. Chris Kemp with the Stanbridge Motorsport Lamborghini, 15 seconds. Josh Jackson with the orange racing powered by JMH McLaren, the number 1 car, an extra 20 seconds. Paul Bailey in his Ferrari, an extra 15 seconds. The Fox Motorsport Ginetta of James Townsend, an extra 10, and it's an extra 10 also for the Stanbridge Motorsport number 41 Lamborghini of Fraser Smart. Another couple of cars that have it: Veluga Motorsport, the number 50 Porsche of Cole Cavers, 15 seconds, and Morgan Tilbrook for Enduro Motorsport, an extra 10. I think that gives you all of the success seconds that are required to be done in this one. So it's 60 seconds stationary plus the extra success seconds I've given you, and of course we know at the pit lane speed limit it takes 20 seconds to drive from pit lane in to pit lane out, and all of that is timed from a loop in pit lane and a loop out of pit lane. If you're shorter than expected in the pit lane area, you've done one of two things: you've either not stopped for the requisite amount of time, or you've sped in the pit lane, or it could be a combination of both, and a penalty would come your way. So we're about to get round 5 underway, this Super Saturday weekend for the GT Cup Championship. A record-breaking grid for this championship here at Brands Hatch. 46 cars were originally scheduled to have appeared, 45 at set times in qualifying, and I think we've only lost one more since then along the way. So the lights are off on the safety car. It peels its way into the pit lane. Adam Ballon on Richard Neary on the front row of the grid. Adam Ballon very happy with his pace in race number 1. Richard Neary really getting to grips with the Mercedes, was as chuffed to bits as well. Here we go green as they head up towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. It's the Lamborghini of Adam Ballon that is just ahead of Richard Neary. It's the GCAT Racing Porsche of Seamus Jennings who slotted himself through into 3rd position at this stage, and it looks like it is going to be John Dillon who's there in 4th place. Yes, it is. Stuart Proctor 5th, Lucky Kira completing the top 6 in the early stages, and a bit like race number 1, they're all driving rather sensibly at the beginning. Some locked brakes behind. That's a puncture, I'm afraid. Is it? No, that's front suspension damage. There is definitely something not right with Russ Lindsay's car there. It looks as though front left suspension has failed somewhere, and he will be limping that car round in towards the pit lane. There's also a spin in the background. That's Alex Stevenson who's had a spin. Taking to the grass, unfortunately, is Richard Chamberlain as he tries to avoid the stricken Ginetta. Thankfully the orange Porsche bounced across the grass, but we've now got 2 cars struggling round towards the tail end of the field, and you can still see, with that front suspension damage, it's going to be a long drive back to pit road, isn't it, for Russ Lindsay. Adam Ballon leading. You can see the bottoming out of the car of Richard Neary there, the Mercedes with the sparks flying as the suspension loads up and he hits the bumps around Brands Hatch circuit, carving their way through Sheen Curve and up towards Stirling's at the end of the first lap of the race. We'll try and keep you up to date with all of the group leaders as well, because we had some great intergroup battles in the race earlier on as the cars come through to complete the first lap of the race. So through they go. Lamborghini leads, Mercedes in 2nd place, Lamborghini 3rd, McLaren 4th, Aston Martin, that being Matt Manderson there in 5th position, Lucky Kira completing the top 6. Now this is in Group GTA, the number 67 Ginetta of Simon Orange coming under pressure from Craig Wilkins, whilst the car that's in the background is Henry Dawes. Now, Henry Dawes was one to watch, the number 106 Ginetta in the race earlier on. He was leading the group, then fell off the road at Surtees Corner. And he is now looking to try and draw himself alongside former Porsche racer Craig Wilkins. Man from the West Midlands, though, for the moment, just hangs on to the position at the wheel of the number 80 Scott Sport prepared car. Along the Cooper Straight they'll go. There goes Simon Orange, followed by Craig Wilkins, Henry Dawes, Sam Olpass, Charlotte Gilbert, Nick Phelps. Then Josh Jackson will be the next of those at the wheel of the orange McLaren as they turn their way through Surtees Corner. Some of the cars that struggled or started towards the tail end still trying to pick their way through. That includes Steve Burgess in the Radical and Michael Igo at the wheel of the number 18 WPI Motorsport Lamborghini that started off the penultimate row of the grid. Watch out for that one. It'll be handed over to 3 times British GT runner-up Phil Keane for part 2 of the race. So, for the lead of Group GTA, still Simon Orange fighting away with Craig Wilkins, with not that far away Henry Dawes. The 3 Ginettas at the moment are bottled up behind Richard Marsh by the look of things at the wheel of the Group GTB Porsche. This is a great little fight though for the lead of Group GTA in the early stages. Group GTA caters for those lower specification Cup cars, so it's almost Ginettas that are to G55 Super Cup specification, i.e. those that would be supporting the British Touring Car Championship. Over the start-finish line they go, first, second and third in the group, all absolutely together. Very slight lock break though as it turns in towards Paddock Hill Bend, and that is almost leaving the door open there for Craig Wilkins to pounce on the lead of the group, but Simon Orange just gets it tidied up in time. Sam Olpass is not that far behind at the wheel of the Jeff Steele Engineering mid-engined BMW. He may well catch up with this trio of Ginettas. You can just see, the white Beamer in the background. The white Porsche of Richard Marsh at the front of the queue, though. At the moment, he's the cork in the bottle, really, isn't he, as far as the Ginettas are concerned. So the other quick cars from the tail end of the field trying to fight their way up through the order. Paul Bailey in the Ferrari looking to try and push on. Adam Ballon is starting to try and see what he can do in the lead of the race. Nose to tail for the lead of Group GTA. Simon Orange under enormous pressure from Craig Wilkins. Sam Olpass now is behind him, so Henry Dawes has been dropped. The trio of Ginettas have now got the interloping BMW in the middle of them. But that is a good little fight that's going on, as we say. That is for the lead of the group as well. Battle for the lead of the race as well. Adam Ballon is not getting away from Richard Neary for the lead of the race. Richard Neary last time through posted the fastest lap of the race that we've seen so far. So out of Stirling's, along the straight and up towards Clearways and then Clark Curve, another lap about to be completed. This is lap number 4 that they are about to head on to. And as they now work their way over the start finish line, are we going to see a change for the lead of Group GTA? Simon Orange takes the tighter line in towards Paddock Hill Bend again, locks that brake and again almost misses the apex, which just about opens up the door for Craig Wilkins, but rather frustratingly again he's just not able to pounce on that slight mistake. Maybe it's the unloaded wheel that's getting locked up from Simon Orange, but he does need to be careful, because if he keeps locking it up there'll be a flat spot and it will keep rotating back round to that flat spot and locking up the same point each time. He might be better at this stage just trying to tweak the brake bias on the car a little bit, just to try and put a little bit more on the rear maybe. Difficulty then is that might unsettle it a bit more over the bumps in particular that you have to brake on heading up towards Paddock Hill Bend. Still got the likes of Paul Bailey and Michael Igo and Steve Burgess at the wheel of the Ferrari, the Lamborghini and the Radical respectively, trying to carve their way up through the order, having started towards the tail end of the field, or in the case of the Radical, starting for the pit lane. And they're doing a good job of it as well, I've got to say. Michael Igo started in 44th position on the grid and is now up into something like, Michael Igo is now up into 22nd position, so it has been a good start to the race for Michael Igo. You would have expected it because he's in a GT3 car, and despite his relative lack of experience, he's a great driver. Now we have had the shuffle for the lead as well. Richard Neary, out of sight, has gone through and ahead of Adam Ballon to take up the lead of the race. It was on the start-finish line where he was able to carve his way through. Now, considering that Mercedes was struggling with some chassis damage on Friday in testing, and they had to carry out repairs here at the circuit and really weren't sure whether they were going to be able to race and effect the repairs properly. Well, performance was great in the first race, other than a puncture. It's had the pace all weekend and certainly got the pace again now. Richard handing the car over to just 19 years of age, his son, Sam Neary. Richard this weekend really just has got to grips with this circuit beautifully well. So at the moment, the gap first to second as they come over the start-finish line was just 0.3 of a second. He's already starting to put daylight between himself and erstwhile race leader, the Barwell Motorsport Lamborghini Huracan, in the hands of Adam Ballon. Adam competing with Barwell Motorsport for what, third or fourth season I think he'll have been with Barwell Motorsport now. He'll be partnered with Sandy Mitchell come the British GT Championship this year, which kicks off here at Brands Hatch in about 3 weekends' time, whereas for the GT Cup, next rounds for us are at Snetterton in Norfolk. Through Paddock Hill Bend, Richard Neary continually leading the race. The gap that was 0.3 of a second is up to 2.6, 2.3 seconds quicker on the first lap since he got past the erstwhile race leading Lamborghini of Adam Ballon. Matt Manderson is now up into third position. So that means that John Dillon at the wheel of the Ferrari has dropped down into fourth. In fact, yeah, here is the Ultimate Speed Aston Martin. Fantastic to see it out there. We've seen Ultimate Speed in GT Cup in the past, but this is their newer Aston Martin that they're out with for the first time this season. Pushing hard is the number 47 car. Out of 30s, down through Pilgrim's Drop. There goes John Dillon, under pressure from Lucky Kira behind as well. So this is the third place car now. There's Adam Ballon just up the road in second. And there goes the fight of the two Lamborghinis now. John Dillon under pressure from Lucky Kira. Two absolutely together. And then there's a little bit of squabble going on behind them as well, which would be Stuart Proctor's McLaren and Seamus Jennings at the wheel of number 33 GCAT Racing Porsche. So back to the two Lamborghinis. Fourth and fifth place. This is in the race. GT3 cars rather dominating the first 9 positions in this race so far. The first of the non-GT3 cars is going to be the Group GTC leading Lamborghini Huracan of Warren Gilbert and Jensen Lum. Warren having started that car, the Top Cats racing machine. And if you're wondering as to why we've got Lamborghinis in Group GT3 and why we've got Lamborghinis in Group GTC, it's because of the specification they run to. Those that run in GT3 are a full homologated GT3 car, whereas the likes of Warren Gilbert's car, that's 10th overall in Leeds Group GTC, that is a Lamborghini that runs to Super Trofeo specification, so it doesn't necessarily have all of the aero of the GT3 cars, but actually amazingly does have a little bit more power than the GT3s because of the balance of performance allocation that is usually done. Now here comes Stuart Proctor. He is under pressure from Seamus Jennings. A flash of the lights from the man from Northern Ireland. Not going to squeeze his way through there though at Surtees corner. Graham Tilley in the Nissan's not far behind as well. They'll appear into sight, the trio together, just behind this pair of Lamborghinis. And as they head down towards Hawthorne, Graham Tilley, has he got the legs on the Porsche? He's almost trying to sneak his way up the inside, but Seamus Jennings just, and only just, got the door closed in time. After Graham Tilley, Nick Jones is the next of the cars going through. So there goes Graham Tilley in 8th position. He'll hand over to Senan Fielding for part 2 of the race. Usually partnered with Will Tregurth, but Will unable to race this weekend. He's racing VLN out in Germany, so he's not able to join us this weekend. So the very fast Senan Fielding has come in and did a fantastic job on the sprint to the line. 17 1,000ths of a second separated him between himself and the car that he was doing battle with. I'll be hoping to maybe go 1 or 2 better in this one if they can. For the moment though, Graham Tilley, who was amazingly, Graham has never won a championship. He's finished runner-up in several championships, but he's never been a champion in anything, Graham Tilley. He's a force to be reckoned with in anything he appears in. Now this is the leader of Group GTA. Aaron Scott has managed to unlock the door and take the position away from the orange Ginetta that sits behind in the hands of Simon Orange. And now Craig Wilkins is bottled up behind the number 34 Porsche, which will be Richard Marsh. That Porsche leads Group GTB, so it's the Group GTB leading Porsche just ahead of the Group GTA leading Ginetta. Actually, it's worth watching out for this little battle, because whilst Richard Marsh in the Porsche leads Group GTB, the Ginetta behind leads Group GTA, the next Ginetta behind is second in Group GTA, and the BMW that's just off that is second in Group GTB, with Nick Phelps third in Group GTB, not that far behind, and the third Ginetta, which is the 106 car of Henry Dawes, would be third in Group GTA. So yeah, first, second and third in both Group GTB and Group GTA all absolutely together. You can see just how busy the circuit is still. There's a raft of cars head up towards Surtees Corner. Here comes that squabble that I was talking about. Sam Olpass in the Group GTB BMW has got a bit more grunt than the Ginetta ahead, but can't quite muster enough by the time they get towards Hawthorn to try and take the place away from Simon Orange. So all 6 of them are pretty much together now, aren't they? Remember, they're all in either Group GTB or Group GTA, and they're all either first, second or third in those respective groups. So it's the battle at the front. Whilst they're all squabbling away, they're actually running in 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th and 18th and 19th places overall in the race. Richard Chamberlain in the orange Porsche still trying to work his way up through the order. He is now up into 24th position. What of the progress of Michael Igoe, I hear you asked, who started 44th on the grid? 11th position is now the answer. He's got himself ahead of John Seal on that lap. And Lucky Kira has now got himself ahead of John Dillon as well, so that has been a change in order for 4th and 5th place. Lucky Kira, who was very honest when asked the question, posed the question by Michelle as to what happened in race 1, yet ran out of talent was the response. Well, at the moment, he's doing everything right here. He's got past John Dillon and is looking to try and see whether he can just open up the margins between himself and the similar spec GT3 Lamborghini Huracan that sits behind. Lewis Proctor under pressure as well, the McLaren. That's Seamus Jennings in the GCAT Racing Porsche, the number 33 car that's just off the back of these 2 Lamborghinis. And yeah, Lucky Kira is now definitely starting to gap, isn't he, John Dillon? Through comes Lucky Kira. His lap time last time through was a woman at 29.3. John Dillon's was 0.9 of a second slower. So the gap is starting to go the wrong way as far as John Dillon is concerned. And it'll be a while before the pit window opens as well for those cars. There's another Lamborghini, that's Fraser Smart at the wheel of the Stanbridge Motorsport Lamborghini. He'll hand it over to ex-F3 Cup competitor, which is James Simons, for part 2 of the race. They've had a bit of an off day really. They were right at the sharp end of the group at Donington, but had a poor qualifying and just seemed to have been on the back foot a shade over the course of the day, not quite having the speed in the car that I would have thought from them. Richard Marsh still under pressure from Craig Wilkins in a straight line. No, the GTB BMW of Sam Olpass powers past, and now that means that the Porsche and the Beamer can roll up their sleeves for the lead of Group GTB. Sam Olpass fires it straight at the inside of Richard Marsh, side by side through Paddock Hill Bend for the lead of the group and for 14th and 15th positions overall. Richard Marsh is not going to give it away easily. Driver who spent 3 or 4 seasons in the British Touring Car Championship. Sam Olpass tries to push Richard Marsh out wide, and Richard Marsh now comes under attack and loses a place to Craig Wilkins. Craig Wilkins a little bit quicker coming out of Graham Hill Bend, but in a straight line again, the Ginetta loses out on pure power to the Beamer, whilst they're all now under attack from the likes of Richard Chamberlain in his flame-spitting Porsche 935, who had those turbo woes in race number 1. Had to start off the very back of the grid almost, Richard Chamberlain. He was 42nd on the grid, and the big orange Porsche now is slowly working its way up through the order. Should pick off the lesser powered cars in a straight line without too much trouble, Richard. So down the Derek Minter straight up towards the right-hander at Westfield. They will all thread their way. That is on. That's the GCAT Racing Porsche that's come together, I'm afraid, with Graham Tilley. So they've had an issue. That looks as though it's coming out of Druids, where they've got themselves together. So the GCAT Racing Porsche of Seamus Jennings and Graham Tilley's Nissan still parked where it ended up, I'm afraid. Whatever happened between the pair of them, the Porsche has escaped the scene of the crime, and Graham Tilley is nosed into the barriers with whatever disagreement they had, looking for the same piece of tarmac at the same time, one would have thought. 34 minutes to go, so it's going to be a while still before the pit window opens. Now, GCAT Racing Porsche of Seamus Jennings has rejoined right where Michael Igoe is, so that car was running right up towards the sharp end, wasn't it? But Seamus Jennings is no longer going to be in 7th, he's going to be in something like 11th or maybe even 12th position now, potentially. Michael Igoe will be just keeping his nose clean, trying to stay out of trouble as he works his way through the order, whilst this car here still continues to lead and lead comfortably as well. It's 7.6 seconds the advantage that Richard Neary has opened up between himself and Adam Ballon. There goes the Mercedes. Where is the Lamborghini there? You can just see it in the background of that shot, working its way through traffic. So busy lap for Adam Ballon, and she's trying to pick off some of the slower cars and place a lap on. Richard Neary, in the meantime, has done all of that. He's about to catch the next batch of cars. So Richard Neary goes through the shot. Lights ablaze, a flash of the lights from Adam Ballon, and you can see, yeah, he's about to try and work his way past the Group GTH Aston Martin, the Feathers Motorsport car, in the hands of James Guess. Not quite going to do it on the run through Hawthorne, though. Will he easily do it down the Derek Minter straight? Marshall's waving the blue flags to forewarn the slower cars, but the quicker cars are approaching. So now, having dealt with that traffic, he's done and dusted. However, for Charlotte Gilbert, she's had a spin, unfortunately. That looks as though it's at Sheen Curve, where as long as she can get the Marcos started, she'll be fine. She had a spin in race number 1 at this corner, but it's a blind entry to Sheen Curve, and she's stranded, and you can see the SC board was flashing there on the bridge, which means the safety car is coming out, and for Richard Neary, that 7.6 second lead is going to come to nothing now. Safety car either out for Charlotte Gilbert or out for Graham Tilley, because Graham Tilley is now out of the Nissan. Godzilla, as the car's known, one of the ex-Bob Neville built cars, the RJM built cars, and that is a disappointing day really for Graham Tilley. Senan Fielding won't even get the chance to drive it in race number 2. So safety car heads out onto the track, and also safety car bunches everybody up. Let's just guide you through the top 10 under safety car conditions here at Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix circuit. Number 88, which is Richard Neary, leads at the wheel of the ABBA Mercedes. In second position, it's the number 11 Barwell Motorsport Lamborghini Huracan of Adam Ballon. And third in the race is the Ultimate Speed Aston Martin, number 47. Matt Manderson, I think, was scheduled to start that. I don't think ever have official confirmation who was starting the 47 car. Fourth was car number 247, Lucky Kira. Fifth at this stage is another Lamborghini Huracan. That is number 61, John Dillon, the Scott Sport prepared car. And completing the top 6 is the Balf Motorsport McLaren, number 36, Stuart Proctor behind the wheel. In 7th place, it's Team Parker Racing, number 60, and Nick Jones doing great things at the wheel of the Porsche 991 GTR GT3. 8th place, remember, off the back of the grid, 44th on the grid, now up to 8th for number 18, the WPI Motorsport Lamborghini Huracan of Michael Igoe. He'll hand it over to Phil Keane. And completing the top 10, in 9th place is number 33, Seamus Jennings, having had that issue, of course, and has come away, by the look of things, without any real issues, whereas for the other car involved, Graham Tilley, its retirement, he is there in 9th place, and completing the top 10 is the first non-GT3 car we've got in the field, so it's the Group GTC leading car, which is number 9 in the hands of Warren Gilbert. Another car that leads its group is in 11th place, number 55, which is John Seal at the wheel of the Group GTO Lamborghini. Leading Group GTB is the number 38 BMW of Jeff Steele Racing's Sam Allpass. In 15th place, that's the Group GTA leader, which is Craig Wilkins, and I think that gives you all of the group leaders as Graham Tilley discusses the finer points of the incident and retirement, unfortunately, with our fantastic Brands Hatch marshals. So, bit of clearing up to be done. Clock still ticking away. Pit window pretty much about to open in 3 3/4 minutes time. We should see the pit window open, and that is the first opportunity that some of the cars will have to dive into the pits. The cars that will be coming in first this time round will be those cars that run in Group 2. So in other words, those are the cars that are in either Group GTB, Group GTH or Group GTA. Now Group GTB is for the early year Challenge and Cup cars, so the likes of Sam Allpass's BMW that's been developed and the 2 Marcos Mantis cars that we have out there. Group GTH is for GT4 homologated cars, so the likes of the newer Aston Martins, the McLarens, the Mercedes GT4s that we've got in there, and the Porsche Caymans as well. A good representation in Group GTH, the newer of the groups almost, but had proven to be very, very popular indeed. And also the Group GTA cars, which I think almost without exception, he says, I think is all of the Ginettas that we have, the Ginetta G55 cars that run to Super Cup specification. So all of those will be diving into the pit lane when we get to the point that there are 26 minutes left in the race. So their pit window opens 26 minutes into the race and closes when there are 21 minutes remaining. And then for the other cars in the other groups, the likes of Group GTO, Group GT3, Group GTC, their pit window opens 21 minutes remaining into the race and will close for what will be the final 15 minutes, I think is the way that the regulations are written. So 35 minutes into the race, their pit window will close. So during that period of time, everybody, regardless of whether you are sharing the car or not, everybody has to come into the pit lane drive down it at the regulatory speed limit and remain stationary for 60 seconds, plus any success seconds that you've got. So whilst we're on the safety car, what else is going on in GT Cup in 2021? Well, we've already been to Donington Park, and of course we're here at Brands Hatch for Super Sunday. Next time out will be the 5th and 6th of June, where we're at Snetterton on the full circuit, the 300 circuit there, the first of 2 trips to Snetterton on the 5th and 6th of June, before we then go to Alton Park in early July, on to Silverstone and the fantastic Grand Prix circuit there in the middle part of August, back to Donington Park, but where we started it on the national circuit, our second visit will be on the Grand Prix circuit on the 18th and 19th of September, and we'll conclude the season down in Norfolk in early October at Snetterton. Keep your eye on all of our social medias. Don't forget, you can re-watch all of these races as well if you simply subscribe to the YouTube channels and follow us on Facebook. Lights are off on the safety car, I think, are they, as they headed under the bridge. Didn't quite spot it in time. We might be good to go racing again. Yes, the lights are out on the safety car. We are good to go racing, and we're getting the race back underway a minute before the pit window opens, which is the perfect time to do it. So Richard Neary can decide when he wants to go. Adam Ballon, second in the race, is the 4th car in the train, but remember, he can't overtake anybody until he gets to the start-finish line, so he's got to hold station behind Adam Ballon, and now he can start to overtake. So Adam Ballon will side his way past the first of the back markers, which he is doing, which is James Townsend. He deals with on the run-up towards Paddock Hill Bends, and he should pick off the next of those on the run-up towards Druids, and once he has done that, then he is good to go. The next of those would be Mo Ritson, I think, by the look of things, but he'll have to wait to get past that GT4 McLaren, probably either down at Graham Hill Bend or along the Cooper Straight. Michael Igo's progress continuing there as he gains another place on the run up towards Druids Corner. There goes, yeah, Adam Ballon now is in second place, fully on the road. No more back markers between himself and Richard Neary, but that will have certainly helped Richard Neary. You can see there goes the Mercedes now, and well, it's going to be about 3.5 seconds gap between himself and Adam Ballon, and that was largely because of those two GT4 car and a Group GTA Ginetta that just meant that he had to wait until the start-finish line to squeeze his way past. The pit window is now open, so remember, it's the cars that are in Group GTB, Group GTH and Group GTA that are the first to pit. They will have 5 minutes to come in and conduct their pit stops. As you say, the car needs to be stationary for 60 seconds plus any success seconds that you have already accumulated. A little bit of dust just coming out of Sterling's. Pit window open. Have we got any takers this time through? Mo Ritson continues round. James Townsend continues round as well at the wheel of the Ginetta. Good to see James out racing. It's his first season in the GT Cup Championship. He finished 6th in the Porsche Carrera Cup GB in the Amateur Series last year. Did a bit of Ginetta GT5 racing previously as well, did James Townsend. And under the tutorage of Jamie Stanley, himself and Ian Duggan at Fox Motorsport, coming along all of the time as they get used to slicks. Well, plenty of takers for the first element of pit stops coming in. You can see all of the cars filing their way down the pit lane. Yeah, so we have got the Group GTB erstwhile leading Porsche in. That's Richard Marsh about to hand over to Sam Randon coming in. We've got the 2 cars from Orange Racing powered by JMH coming in. They will park nose to tail with each other, so that's Simon Orange and Josh Jackson. Simon Orange behind the wheel of the 67 Ginetta. Josh Jackson gets the McLaren for this race. But for the rest of the cars, certainly those in Group GTO, GT3 and GTC, their pit window isn't open as yet, so they've still got to keep plodding round. And of course for those cars that could pit but haven't as yet, they've got to work their way through the traffic as well, and that's exactly what Seamus Jennings was doing there along the Derek Minter Straight. Lucky Kira bouncing over the curbs. He's in 3rd position at the wheel of his Lamborghini. Where's Michael Igo up to now? Michael Igo from the back of the grid is up to 7th position, and the pit lane starting car, which was Steve Burgess, the Radical RXC that runs in Group GTO, is now up to 12th position in the race. So good run from both of those from the tail end of the field. And Richard Chamberlain have also started off the back. I do fear might have had some more mechanical woes, because yeah, he is now not showing inside the top 20 or so. So quick change of a tyre by the look of things there for the Simon Orange Ginetta, so maybe a slow puncture or something that they were just concerned with, a bit of vibration, but they can do all of that within the allocated time, which is going to be 75 seconds that car had to remain stationary. Now here is Michael Igo, The number 18 WPI Motorsport Lamborghini was 7th. He's now up into 5th position and trying to hunt down John Dillon. So 2 cars running in the same group. What a drive from Michael Igoe through the field from 44th on the grid up to 5th place, and that's pretty much on merit as well. Because remember, all of the cars at the sharp end haven't pitted as yet because their pit window does not quite open yet. It will open in around about another 100 seconds time. So into the pit lane has come the Group GTO Radical. Now I'd have thought that was a bit early for them to come in to the pit lane. So Steve Burgess there just having a quick chat to Ben Dimmock. Steve Burgess was saying he's not raced on the Grand Prix circuit here since 2017 when he was racing in the Radical Challenge. Trying to sneak up the inside, yeah, good run by Nick Jones, dives up the inside of the Make It Happen Racing Ginetta of Stephen Walton and takes the place away, or puts a lap on him in the case of that. A few more of the GT4 cars heading towards the pit lane. Now this is 4th position, this is Lucky Kira in his GT3 Lamborghini coming under pressure from Michael Igoe. Michael Igoe dives up the inside and takes the place away. Michael Igoe will shortly be handing that number 18 Lamborghini over to Phil Keane. Lucky Kira will remain behind the wheel. And say Michael Igoe and Phil Keane were with us at Donington Park. They're here at Brands Hatch. They're certainly doing Alton Park with us as well. But they'll be focusing on the British GT Championship, which earlier on this week Lucky Kira announced that he'll be competing in as well. So windscreen white being done for Andy Roby's Marcos in the background. Mo Ritson about to give way to Tom Rawlings on board the number 26 McLaren. It's being run by Paddock Motorsport, a new team for this year. Martin Plowman and Kelvin Fletcher having set that team up over the winter. And now we've got cars side by side whilst the quicker cars are trying to work their way through a pass. So this is Ian Humphreys in the championship for the first time this weekend, trying to hang on to places but under attack from the quicker GT3 cars that understandably want to lap him at the same time. The pit window should now be open for the GTO, the GT3 and the GTC cars, so we might start to see a few more cars towards the sharp end of this race heading in towards the pit lane in the next few moments, because their pit window has now opened with 21 minutes remaining in the race. Are we going to see the Proctors come in? Yes, we do. So into the pit lane comes John Dillon, in comes Stuart Proctor, in comes Nick Jones, and that's a sensible thing to do for those drivers because they are the amateur drivers. The pros can't start the pit stop races, and in theory, of course, what you want to do is get your pro driver in as soon as you can at the front end of the window, because they are arguably going to be the quicker driver. Give them as much time behind the wheel as you can, and it should put you in a stronger position. We've also got the Group GTO number 55 Lamborghini of John Seal coming in, ready to hand over to Abby Eaton. That's the car that was leading Group GTO. Richard Chamberlain is there. I did him a disservice. I said I thought he'd drop down through the order, but he's running in 7th position at the moment and has now taken up the lead of Group GTO as a result of the pit stop for that Lamborghini. This car here still pressing on though. Richard Neary still out front, leading the race by 5 3/4 seconds from Adam Ballon. Is he about to head in towards the pit lane now and hand it over to Sam Neary? Yes, he is. So into the pit lane comes Richard Neary. Sam Neary suited and booted and ready to go. So he will stop at pit lane entry end. That's where Team Abbott Racing have based themselves. The car comes to a halt. Driver's door opens. Off come the seat belts. And Sam Neary is about to dive on board that car, whilst those cars that stopped the lap prior, of course, are coming towards the end of their pit stops. Michael Igoe diving for the pit lane, so he will hand over to Phil Keane. James Guess having handed that Aston Martin over to Darren Turner a few laps ago. So trundling down pit lane comes the WPI Motorsport Lamborghini, which had terrible problems in race number 1 and did very few laps indeed. That was why it started right off the back of the grid for this race. Michael Igoe has brought that car up into 5th position. Fantastic stuff. And that number 7 Radical, which was I spoke to Steve Burgess in between the two races and he said, we're out for the day, Mark, that's it, we're done and dusted, there's an issue with the differential, we haven't got the parts. Well, quite what they've done, whether they've found the parts, they've been delivered from Peterborough, which is where Radical build these cars, or they've had to cobble something together, I'm not quite sure, but whatever Raw Motorsport have done, they've done it, as ever, very well indeed. Oh, that was close, wasn't it, coming out of the pit lane? That was Sam Neary about to leave the pit lane, just as a Lamborghini was coming in, but thankfully, any issues were averted. So Adam Ballon at the moment is leading the race and has not pitted. The number 247 car of Lucky Kier is second, and Adam Ballon's not going to pit this lap either, so over the start-finish line he comes. So co-founder of the Innocent Smoothies drink brand is Adam. Started racing in the Lotus Cup UK before he moved into the British GT Championship in the GT4 category. Moved up to GT3 a season or so ago, Adam Ballon, and was actually partnered with Phil Keane last year in British GT. He'll be partnered with Sandy Mitchell for this year. That's the number 41 Lamborghini, so that will be James Simons that's about to get on board, and that, I'm afraid, is a problem for Jensen Lump, who has had a spin at the wheel of the Top Cats Racing Lamborghini. A little bit of unburnt fuel, I think, just igniting out of the exhaust as he tries to get the car fired back up again. So that is going to drop them down through the order, and that has implications because they were the championship leading car. They had won their group earlier on in the pit stop race. That was their 4th group win out of the 5 races we've had so far. He's got it going, has Jensen Lund, but he's now with his dirty tyres, realising that there's not as much grip as otherwise there'd have been. So hopefully any issues averted there. Adam Ballon still leading, hasn't pitted. Lucky Kira, who was second, has now pitted. Are we going to see Jensen Lund head towards the pit lane? Yeah, clearly not happy with something in the car. Now, was that cause or effect to the spin? Simply don't know, but either way, the driver is concerned enough to want to bring that car down into the pit lane, and this is going to surely now lose them potentially the championship lead as we leave Brands Hatch and head towards Snetterton for what will be the usual format of sprint race and endurance race one day, sprint race and endurance race the next. So now I think maybe that was Warren Gilbert still behind the wheel, and they hadn't done the driver change. So yeah, it looks as though they hadn't done the driver change. So the driver that was scheduled to have started that was Warren Gilbert, who's hugely experienced. So was that an issue with the car that caused the spin? Because that's very un-Warren-like. Now Tom Rawlings fighting away, and right behind him is Callum McLeod. Callum, who's got vast amounts of experience, Callum McLeod, racing GT cars all over the world, dives at the inside of Tom Rawlings. The two McLaren GT4s absolutely together as they head round through Paddock Hill Bend. Now they are fighting away for 3rd and 4th in Group GT8 at this stage for the GT4 homologated cars, and Callum McLeod has got the job done there, gone through, taken the position away, and can now look to try and pull away. Was a star in karting, was Callum McLeod, won the Super 1 series and then moved up to single seaters where he won the British Formula 4 Championship and the European Formula 3 Open Series, did Callum McLeod. Sam Neary trying to carve his way through traffic, which is Sam Allpass's BMW and Sam Randon's Porsche. Now they were, before the pit stops, fighting away for the lead of Group GTB, and now that I look towards where they are now, they are fighting away for the lead of Group GTB still. So yeah, BMW and Porsche, nothing to choose between them. Sam Neary looking to try and carve his way by, and the Ferrari of Ross Wiley, the Scotsman, isn't too far away either. Sam Neary is able to ease the Mercedes past both the Porsche and the BMW. A flash of the lights of the Ferrari of Ross Wiley as he looks to try and place a lap on them as well and not upset their battle for the lead of the group, which has been a fantastic one so far. And at the moment, Group GTB is Sam Allpass, the Beamer from Sam Random. Can Sam do anything? The difficulty is, he's got that Ferrari behind him, which is for position as well. So the Ferrari 488. There's a spin. That's Andy Roby with a spin in the Marcos. Be careful that you rejoin in a safe way, Andy. And then, thankfully the grass was dry. Gets going. Lots of gravel being thrown into the face of the car behind, which is Chris Murphy, I think. So almost pebble dashing the car behind as he rejoins after his gravelly moment. Nice to see Chris out in one of the newer shape Aston Martins, and Andy Roby's almost off the road again there with the dirty tyres just affecting the amount of grip that he had. No matter where you look, fight still going on. Charlotte Gilbert under attack from Chris Hart, who dives through up the inside. Chris Hart has got Henry Dawes at the wheel of his Domino's Pizza delivery Ginetta G55 Supercup car, not that far behind. Then we've got Ian Duggan, and I think Ian Duggan under attack from one of the pro drivers in the field, Adam Carroll. Outright lap record holder here at Brands Hatch. So 13 minutes of the race still to go. This is Charlotte Gilbert under pressure from the number 212 car, which say is scheduled to be Chris Hart for part 2 of the race. But everybody, by the look of things, has got somebody to squabble with. The number 44 McLaren, now safely in the hands of John Rushton. Now safely in the hands of John Whitehouse, I should say, having taken over from Steve Rushton. That car is not featuring inside the top 20. There goes the Mercedes, that's Marcus Clutton. So that car runs in Group GTH, been taken over by Morgan Tilbrook, taken over from Morgan Tilbrook. And they are outside of the top 25, I think, at the moment, that number 66 car. Yeah, it lies in 29th position on what is a very full circuit still, the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. Scott Mulvern looking to gain a place up the inside of Lucky Kira, takes it away, so that now puts the Team Parker Racing Porsche up into 4th position overall. Lucky Kira drops down into 5th. So a good move from the pro. Scott Mulvern, former Formula Ford Festival winner, was the British GT4 Pro-Am champion a couple of seasons ago when he was racing with Nick Jones. And this new Porsche for them for this year is certainly proving to be a good car for them. I know Nick, when he very first tested it, was delighted with the way that the Porsche was handling and got to grips with it straight away, which hasn't been the case with some of the other cars that they've raced in the past. In particular their GT4 Porsche, they really didn't get to grips with that, and it soon disappeared and was replaced by a Mercedes, which brought them the GT title. Now, Greg Caton has taken over the number 33 GCAT Racing Porsche. He is under pressure from the Lamborghini. It's in the hands of Phil Quaife now that sits behind. Phil Quaife looking to build on their result in the race earlier on today, where the number 61 Lamborghini finished in 2nd position overall. Well, at the moment, it's down in 8th, so there's a chunk of work to do for Phil Quaife. He'll squeeze his way past the Feathers Motorsport Aston Martin that's in the hands of former Aston Martin Works driver Darren Turner. So now he's dealt with the Aston Martin, fully concentrate his efforts on Greg Caton, who's just up the road again once more. Now there is Nick Phelps, the number 35 machine. Nick running in Group GTB, but he's 3rd in the group at the moment, down in 22nd position. Phil Keane having to take to the grass to avoid contact with Sam Alpass at the wheel of the BMW. I think the Lamborghini was fully on it and was destined to take the place away, and at the last minute I think Phil Keane realised that the gap was closing a bit too much there and got out of it. Now Phil Keane is up into 3rd position now, having taken over the car from Michael Igoe, who did a stunning job from 44th on the grid to bring it up into, 5th position when he pitted ultimately. Well, they're now up into 3rd place. Some of that will have been aided, I know, by the fact that they did not have any success seconds to worry about because of their awful luck that they had in race number 1 earlier on today. So they would have remained stationary for anywhere between sort of 10 and 15 and 20 seconds less than some of the other cars in their group. But Michael Igoe will have lost at least that, having to fight his way through the traffic from 44th on the grid in the first place. So this is a good drive from Michael Igoe, and it's always going to be a good drive from Phil Keane, who was the winner of the Sunoco Challenge a few years ago and went over to race at the world famous Daytona 24 Hour for one of the top teams as well, Action Express Racing. Didn't quite get the result there he wanted, Phil, but it was a very, very good performance from him. And he's now looking to see what he can do to try and close up. This car still comfortably leading. Sam Neary has set the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 25.823 for Sam Neary. He's got David Bryce's Saker to try and work his way through and dives past that. The next is going to be one of the Greystone team cars that we were talking about earlier on the run into the programme, Ollie Webb. Le Mans Series has been very successful, has Ollie Webb, in the European Le Mans Series in the past. Through and past that goes Sam Neary, and now he can concentrate his efforts on the next of the cars that he's going to want to pick off, and that is going to be the champions from a couple of seasons ago now. It will be the number 44 McLaren is the next that he's going to want to try and work his way through. That will be John Whitehouse. 8 minutes of the race still to go. The GT3 car's still dominating. We ought to take our hats off also to the performance of Richard Chamberlain. because he started right the way back towards the tail end of the field in 42nd position. He is now in 6th place at the wheel of the orange Porsche and leading Group GTO as well. Took over the lead of the group from this car here that had been leading it prior to the pit stops. Abby Eaton has now fallen to 3rd in the group and 11th overall, so it hasn't quite worked out for them. Now some of that will have been because, again, that Lamborghini had a 20-second success seconds to serve in the pit stops, whereas Richard Chamberlain, again because of the poor performance of the race earlier on, had no additional time penalties to worry about. But Abby, who is a former MX5 Cup Super Cup champion, was a champion in class, I think it was Class C or Class D of the Dunlop Production Touring Car Series some years ago. Went over and raced in Europe in the Blancpain Series, and is scheduled to be racing in the W Series this year as well. She's taken over that number 55 car, is pushing hard. Oh, a little bit of contact there between Andy Roby and Sam Olpass as they went down the start-finish straight. That's rather got away with it there, did Sam Olpass. The number 38 BMW still looking to see whether it can do anything to try and catch back up with Sam Randon, who has disappeared up the road since taking the lead of Group GTB. Sam Olpass under pressure from Aaron Scott, who's now taken over the number 80 Ginetta from Craig Wilkins. That lies 2nd in Group GTA at this stage. The Group GTA leader is Henry Dawes at the wheel of a 106 Ginetta, who looked as though he was on for a group win earlier on until he popped it into the gravel trap at Surtees. That brought about the safety car, unfortunately. So 6 minutes to go. Our group leaders leading the race overall, leading Group GT3, is Sam Neary. In 6th place overall is the Group GTO leader, which is Richard Chamberlain. 12th place overall is the Group GTC leader, which is the number 96 Lamborghini of Chris Hall, who's now taken that one over. So that has now picked up the lead of Group GTC following the problems for Warren Gilbert out on circuit. Group GTA, as I mentioned, is car number 106, which is Henry Dawes. Group GTB is the number 34 Porsche of Sam Randon. And Group GTH for the GT4 homologated cars, it's the number 1 orange racing powered by JMH at McLaren in the hands of Josh Jackson, who won Group GTH earlier on as well. So it could be a double group win for that car today, which will leave them in a very handy position in the championship again. Adam Ballon trying to work his way through the traffic, almost outbraked himself. Up towards us now comes the squabble for 6th, 7th and 8th place. Richard Chamberlain's Porsche under pressure from Greg Caton's, I think it's fair to say, substantially newer version. Richard's car can trace its roots back to the 1970s, really. I've got a picture on my phone somewhere of what that car looked like back 30, nearly 40 years ago. Very different to the way it looks now, but under pressure from Greg Caton, who's sitting behind and looking to try and squeeze the GCAT Racing Porsche through and ahead. Also, Phil Quaife is absolutely on their coattails as well. So this is 6th, 7th and 8th places. You can add in 9th as well because Lewis Proctor and the McLaren is there as well. Greg Caton has unlocked the door a little bit. Has he got the grunt in a straight line? No. Richard Chamberlain's car, it might be about 40 years older than the car behind him, but in a straight line it's got a bit more grunt than the GT3 homologated Porsche in the hands of Greg Caton. Hasn't quite got the aero though through the twiddly bits, and all of these cars are going to have to start to work their way through the traffic as well before too much longer, which will include Group GTB Porsche, the Super Cup spec car or 911 Cup car of Nick Phelps that sits ahead. 4.5 minutes to go. Sam Neary comfortably in the lead now. 22 seconds is the lead advantage for the ABBA Racing Mercedes over Adam Ballon. Phil Keane in 3rd place. Is he lapping quicker than Adam Ballon? Yes, he is. And he may well catch his former teammate by the end of this race, possibly. That could be one to watch out for. Over the start-finish line goes Greg Caton, who has now been passed, hasn't he, by Lewis Proctor's McLaren. So Greg Caton losing a position in the Porsche on that particular lap. Also Phil Quaife losing out to Lewis Proctor as the McLaren gains 2 places, moves from 9th up to 7th position. And the next place that Lewis Proctor will want to try and take is that away from Richard Chamberlain, the current Group GTO leader. Richard Chamberlain now comfortably leading Group GTO, doesn't need to worry because the car that's 2nd in Group GTO is 5 places behind him almost in the race. 3.5 minutes remaining. Out of Surtees, there goes Lewis Proctor picking his way through traffic. Greg Caton then Phil Quaife, and now off the back of that, Richard Chamberlain, who's lost 3 places on this lap, because through has gone the McLaren, through has gone the Porsche, through has gone the Lamborghini, and the flame-spitting Porsche has lost out to all of them, I'm afraid. Won't worry him though, because he's still leading the group, and it's where you are in your group that carries the all-important championship points. Now Phil Quaife is looking racy here at the wheel of the Scott Sport Lamborghini. The GCAT Racing Porsche of Greg Caton coming under increasing pressure from Phil Quaife. Catching is one thing, getting past on a tight and twisty 2.4 mile Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit is not the easiest thing to do. For the moment it is just Porsche ahead of Lamborghini for what will be 7th and 8th places in the 7th and 8th places in the race, and therefore 7th and 8th in Group GT3 as well. But for Sam Neary and Richard Neary, all looking as though it's largely gone to plan. About to start the penultimate lap of the race, putting a lap on Abby Eaton if they can. That's the car that's running in 10th position. Abby stays out of harm's way, lets the GT3 spec Mercedes go through and past the Lamborghini. So that's everybody up to and including 10th position that's now been lapped. This car's running down in 12th position, but leads Group GTC, so this is the Group GTC leading car. Was started by Chris Kemp, now in the hands of the pro driver Stuart Hall. Looking very comfortable for the lead of Group GTC as well, I've got to say. They're 12th. The next car in Group GTC is down in 21st position, a long, long way adrift. That's Jensen Lund. Now, Phil Quaife as yet hasn't been able to work out exactly where he might be able to squeeze his way through and past the GCAT Racing Porsche of Greg Caton. Not for want of trying. He's thrown a couple of things at it, but not the kitchen sink just as yet. But he's running out of time now, running out of opportunities, because there's only going to be for these cars a couple more laps to go in reality when they're about to start, and then the next one would be their final lap. So through they go over the start-finish line, still squabbling away over 7th and 8th position, but it's still Porsche from Lamborghini. Towards the braking area for Druid. You brake so late for Druids because you're uphill on the way into the corner, so you can really leave it late, and the car really dives down into the tarmac, and because you're going uphill it scrubs the speed off so much quicker going into that area. Richard Chamberlain still leading Group GTO comfortably, might have dropped to 9th place, but still leading the group and still on the lead lap, because this car here now is on to its final lap of the race. Just 25 seconds remaining, and by the time Sam Neary gets over to the start-finish line next time through, it is going to be a checkered flag that they will see. Originally scheduled to be competing full season in the GT4 car with a customer was Sam, but that car was involved in an incident. I think the GT4 car needs a bit of TLC and care after hitting the pit wall, I think it was at Silverstone, so they've converted their full season entry into this GT3 car that Sam and Father Richard have been competing in for a couple of seasons now. They claimed 3 overall wins at Donington Park in the first weekend of racing. They sort of scuppered themselves in the first pit stop race of the weekend there, because they messed up the pit stop and pit stopped after the safety car had been out. The safety car was out, they should have pitted then. They waited until it went in and pitted, and that really compromised what otherwise would have been another strong result then. They had problems in the race earlier on today, but they're back to winning ways by this afternoon, and it looks as though they are now on for their 4th overall win of the season in the GT Cup Championship for 2021. Sam Allpass's car may be to deal with on the run to the line should they wish, but the checkered flag is readied, and the newly announced BRDC Rising Star Sam Neary claims a win for himself and his dad and Team ABBA Racing in the second of our GT Cup Championship races here. Super Saturday at Brands Hatch. We await the arrival of Adam Ballon over the start-finish line. Going to be a bit of a gap before we see Adam head over the start-finish line. And I've got to say, he needs to be careful, Adam Ballon, because Phil Keane was closing significantly on this final lap, and you can see now, he's not quite going to catch Phil Keane, but Adam Ballon finishes in 2nd place, and Phil Keane with Michael Igo from 44th on the grid finish in 3rd position in this second pit stop race of the weekend. 4th place car should be over the start finish line any second now. There it goes now, the Team Parker Racing Porsche of Nick Jones and Scott Mulvern. And then we await the arrival of the next few cars to trickle their way over the start finish line, still with the battles continuing as well. There goes the ultimate speed Aston Martin over the start finish line. what has been a great return for them also to the GT Cup Championship. Shame we don't see a bit more of Ultimate Speed in the GT Cup Championship, because they're a great team, good drivers, and the car not only looks but sounds fantastic as well, the Aston Martin. So the rest of the cars trickling their way over. Sam and Richard Neary claim the win and therefore take up top honours in Group GT3. Second was number 11 Adam Ballon, and third was the number 18 car of Michael Igoe and Phil Keane. Fourth was the number 60 Porsche of Nick Jones and Scott Mulvern. Fifth place went to the Proctors in the end. They're Balfe Motorsport McLaren of Lewis and Stuart Proctor, Lewis being the son, Stuart being the dad. And completing the top six with a bit more luck was Lucky Kira, who finished in sixth position. Seventh place was the number 33 GCAT Racing Porsche of Seamus Jennings and Greg Caton. Eighth place went the way of 61, which is John Dillon and Phil Quaife. Ninth was the Group GTO winner in the end, number 5 Richard Chamberlain. And completing the top 10 was the number 55 car, which was second in Group GTO, of John Seal and Abby Eaton. The other group winners that we had, in 12th position, the number 96 Lamborghini, which was Chris Kemp and Stuart Hall, claimed top honours in its group, which as we say is Group GTC, and they finished in 12th place. In 15th place, the winner of Group GT8 was Henry Dawes, and the winner of Group GTB was Martian Random, with the winner of Group GTH being Josh Jackson. I think I can hand you downstairs now to Michelle, who's managed to catch up with somebody.
Right, well, I'm here at the number 27 garage. Here is our winning car. And I'm just going to sneak in here actually and see if we can have a word with our winning drivers. Richard, Sam's just getting his helmet off. If I can get you to come out, guys. Lure them out of the garage. Come and have a word with us out here. Come on, Sam. I know you literally just got out of the car, but come on. Here we go. Here are our winners. Guys, tremendous drive. You must be so happy.
Yeah, it's much better than race one. Obviously, we had a few issues in race one, but no, Rich did incredible in the first stint to pull out that gap. Unfortunately, the safety car ruined that, but no, it really was a perfect race.
Yeah, because you were doing so well. You had such a great lead, didn't you? And then, of course, the safety car came up.
Yeah, I did. I knew I was going to be under pressure in the pit stop because we had quite a big penalty. But yeah, no, it worked out really well. It was good. Had a good race. I had a good few laps with Adam. Me and Adam were really close for a few laps. And then once I got past him, I managed to sort of gap him a bit. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. So looking forward to the next lot at Snetterton, yeah?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, great result for you. Well
Thank
done.
you
There you go. So superb result for them. And I also should mention, of course, Michael Igoe. That was incredible, going from 44th position, battling through that grid. So I think I heard Mark say he came third in the end, which is just amazing. Also, I do have to say well done to Richard Chamberlain as well, who again was back there in the grid and just came right through. So well done to them. It has been fantastic racing here at Brands Hatch on Super Saturday. I think we'll all agree. Now, don't forget, you just heard me say there, we have got Snetterton coming up next. It is a 2-day weekend, so the 5th and 6th of June. It's about 5 weeks to wait, unfortunately. But what you can do is check out all the social media in the meantime. That's on Instagram, GT Cup, of course, Facebook as well. So keep up to date with everything there. And hopefully we will see you live for more coverage of the GT Cup Championship 2021. But from Brands Hatch, bank holiday weekend, enjoy yours. We'll see you next time. Take care. Goodbye.